What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Blitzburgh Coverage podcast. Episode number 5, back here with your host, K-Mac, a.k.a. Kurt Swaggin Mac. Kurt Mackey, just like John Mackey, the legendary tight end. Finally back here after we haven't done a podcast episode since about August 21st. I just wanted to wait until we are finally here for game number 1, as we are now approaching game numero uno. This Sunday, as today is Thursday, which marks the first game of the NFL season, as the Kansas City Chiefs host the Detroit Lions tonight. But we are not here to talk about that, as we are here to talk about the men in black and gold, or black and yellow as today's folk call it. I hear repping 39, a.k.a. Fitz, a.k.a. Minka Fitzpatrick, Fitz Magic. Today's show is going to consist of a couple things. We're going to recap quick things on the Atlanta game, which was an absolute massacre. Preseason game number 3, which is irrelevant. We'll also touch on some trades Pittsburgh did and a move they did leading up to the season. We're also going to touch on previewing the Week 1 game and finishing with our expectations for this season. So let's open up with Week 3 versus Atlanta, playing the backups to Atlanta. Offense scored again, looked good. Defense looked good. I think Atlanta had like 4 or 3 turnovers. So picking the offense looked phenomenal. Warren looked good. Najee got a couple touches. Calvin Austin made a few plays. Just more of the same, really, as we've seen throughout this preseason. Pickett looked good. He made some good throws. A big bomb deep to Pickens and even Deontay, like on a 3rd and 13 down the sidelines. So we were able to get an easy dub there against Atlanta and their backups and take our starters out. So Nick Herbig, my bad, flashed. He really stood out this preseason. But quick 30-3 win for Pittsburgh there as we finish undefeated, and Pickett looks pretty good in this limited preseason time sample size we got here. Touching on some moves we made, we were able to trade Kendrick Green, the former 3rd-round selection failed center project, to Houston for a late draft pick selection. I think it was maybe a 6th or a 5th. And shout out to Omar Khan for that one. And we also traded away our guard, Kevin Dotson, for a 5th or a 6th to the Los Angeles Rams for like a 5th or a 6th. So even during leading up to the season, Omar Khan, the Khan artist, is making moves. Love to see it. We also made a free agent addition, adding Desmond King, former cornerback from Iowa, who was pretty okay for Houston last year. I'm not expecting a whole lot of him, other than just a nice depth piece there in the secondary. Someone that can provide just a reliable player there in the secondary if injury was to happen, which, injuries will happen. So just never know what position that's going to hit, per se. But it's just some nice little moves there to get some more draft picks and add another player to, a position of question, if you want to call it, with Levi Wallace, a longer in the tooth type of Patrick Peterson, and a young stallion, Joey Porter Jr. But, let's dive right in. Let's dive right into this game, Week 1, versus the San Francisco 49ers, a game in which I circled on this schedule and this offseason. Without knowing it would be Week 1, I was thinking, this will probably be a later game, later down the season. But no, absolutely not. Week 1, we are going to be playing against arguably our toughest opponent on the schedule. And I'm all for it. I'm ready to see what this team is made of Week 1 right off the bat, and we're gonna get that answer right off the bat. I expect this to be a very low-scoring, physical, defensive type of game. This game really is going to boil down to a couple of things, in my opinion. Turnovers and stopping the run. if we're able to stop McCaffrey and make Brock Purdy beat us, I feel very confident in saying we will win this game. And to be honest with you, my confidence scale in this game is an 8 out of 10 easily. 8 out of 10 easily. Pittsburgh is the underdog with 2.5 points. And if you're a betting man, and I don't really want to talk about betting a whole lot, but I'll mention that in this podcast a little bit because I am a betting man. Take Pittsburgh with the points and take Pittsburgh straight up money line. I mean, we're talking about we haven't lost a season opening game since 2019 when New England just absolutely shredded us. We haven't had an home opener game since 2014. A game which we had beaten the Cleveland Browns 30-27. But some big news with this game. Nick Bosa did finally reach a contract extension for being the highest defensive player paid in the game. So, I'm happy he's going to be there because I really didn't want to hear any excuses when we actually beat the Niners this upcoming Sunday. So he's going to be there. George Kittle might be there. I'm not really too sure. Today is Thursday, so we'll get more on the injury front tomorrow and maybe even Saturday perhaps leading up to this game. But, to be quite frankly honest with you, matchup-wise, man, this is going to be a very defensive type of game. Whose defense is going to cause that turnover? Whose defense is going to stop the run? Because if we let that run game get going for the Niners, we're going to be in trouble. I do believe that. We got to contain McCaffrey. We cannot let him break off any huge runs. Same with Elijah Mitchell. Same with even Deebo Samuel. He'll got a few carries. I don't doubt that because he's been shown he can carry the ball as well. San Fran has a very good offense, a good offensive line led by Trent Williams. Purdy flash for, the small sample size he was in there. However, he did suffer a elbow injury against the Eagles, and so I'm going to be curious to see how he bounces back after that, They do have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Ronnie Bell from Michigan alumni, George Kittle if he plays, McCaffrey, Mitchell. So they have a very potent offense. And Trent Williams, left tackle, is legit. So Highsmith is going to be have his work cut out for him. And maybe if TJ's getting the best of that right side, they might move Trent Williams to the other side. Maybe Highsmith will eat. One of them's going to be eaten. I can't tell which one, but I think TJ is going to have a big game this Sunday. He's going to remind the NFL why he is the best defensive player in this game, and I expect him to have a sack. I think he's going to make some big plays this game and just remind the NFL who is the king on defense. And it's this dude. Let's talk about our offenses versus their defense. Pickett in year 2. He's going to be a lot more comfortable. He looks a lot more poised in this offense. Offensive line still has questions. And, versus this defense the Niners have, it is going to be a tough challenge. Right out of the gate, you're talking about the best defense, speaking statistically, from last season. Niners didn't allow much rushing nor passing. They were clamps. Honestly, they were clamps. Nick Bosa, legit. Fred Warner, legit. Hufanga, legit. Dre Greenlaw, legit. They had a Javon Hargrave, who was a very solid defensive tackle for the Eagles, and as we know, was a former Pittsburgh Steeler, a former third-round pick in 2016, and played really good for us, to be honest with you, considering he was in a 3-4 type of scheme, a.k.a. formerly known as Jay Wobble. So, Niners added him as well, so Hargraves. I know they have another really good defensive lineman. I forgot his name. Is it Armstead? I think it's Armstead, yeah. Eric Armstead. Bosa, Hargrave, Warner, Greenlaw. So I'm going to be looking here to really, if we can get any kind of running game going, I'll feel a lot more confident. But I think we're going to really have to throw the ball well here and use the Moose, use DJ, use Pickens, and let them boys put some work in. But, we got Pickett. We got the Naj. Jalen Warren's going to have to bust a couple as well. The Muth is going to be there. Dan Moore Jr. is the starting left tackle. Let's see what he's about, you know. He's going to have his work cut out for him the first couple of weeks, as we know. Talking about Niners, Cleveland, Raiders. Some very top edge players there. So moving on, I mean, then you got Deontay Pickens and Allen Robinson and the speed demon Calvin Austin III versus this Niners defense. It's going to be a very low-scoring game. And if I'm going to give a prediction for this game, I like a 17-14 Pittsburgh win. Chris Boswell with the game winner to end this game. This will be a very close, decisive game, very physical, low-scoring, and physical. And I am going to really key on the physical part because these teams are both very physical defenses. So let's see how this defense matches up against their offense, you know. Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, Larry Ogunjobi, got to see if he plays or not. I think they didn't really list Keanu Benton as a starter, but I got a feeling he's going to play a lot of snaps there. But Montravius Adams is quote-unquote the starter. Elena Roberts, Quan Alexander, Levi Wallace, Pat Peterson, Minka Fitzpatrick, DeMonte Kazee. And let's see how this goes. Has Brock Purdy ever played Minka? No. Brock Purdy has played, has he played a defense like this? You know, he played Dallas, which is a very solid defense, and he didn't really get to play against Philadelphia. But let's see, let's see what Brock Purdy is all about. But I got Pittsburgh winning this game, 17-14. That'll do it for the preview of this Week 1 game. A game which will end in a W, and we're going to be celebrating come Sunday evening as I watch the rest of the afternoon, evening, night games. Well, let's preview this season. Talk about, leading up to this season, I haven't talked about how I think this team's going to fare. What are my expectations? And outside of that AFC North episode 1, I really haven't dived into this a whole lot because I talked about a lot of other things. But I think it is finally time to set the bar for this team. And for me, that means playoffs and a playoff win is absolutely the standard for this team this year. Haven't had a playoff win in 7 years, which was last against the Chiefs on the road, divisional round. And we were just one game short of missing the playoffs, 9-8. And we missed T.J. Watt for half the year. Let's say we get a T.J. Watt who's healthy. You add in a very solid draft, which we made many additions and really focused on some lacking areas on this squad. You look at this schedule. Is there any reason why we can't get into the playoffs? I mean, you're talking about a 9-8 squad that was one game out, one field goal away from being into the playoffs. A team that went 6-2 down the stretch. 2-6 to 9-8. If that doesn't show proof of improvement or growth, I don't know what else to tell you. We add in a Pat Pete, a solid veteran presence to help mentor Joey Porter Jr. You're bringing in a Nick Herbig, who's a solid outside linebacker 3 for just giving our main dudes, the main killers, a relief, a breath, a relief, just catch their breath a little bit here. And honestly, I really think Pickett is that dude. And honestly, I didn't think I'd be saying that this early, because I was very critical of this team when we decided to take Kenny Pickett in the first round in last year's draft. To be honest with you, I really was not a fan of this draft selection. But I think he's going to make me eat my own words this year. And I'm seeing the flashes already. I'm seeing the eye test. If he can play a relatively clean game this week, as far as turnovers go, 2 touchdowns, no picks, I feel really confident about saying we're going to win this game. He looks poised. He looks confident. And I think he's really going to take a big year 2 leap. When you look at the auditions across the offensive line, trading up for Broderick Jones was huge. Adding Eagles' former offensive guard Isaac Seumalo was huge. Bringing in Nate Herbig as depth was big as well. Maybe Dan Moore Jr. gets a little bit better. He's been a starting left tackle. He's not the worst, not the best, but, he's got his flashes. If we can just get the offensive line to get better, Pickett to grow, then you're talking about the growth of other younger players as well. Players in year 3 like Muth, Najee Harris. George Pickens in year 2, nobody even mentions the fact this guy was coming off of a torn ACL in college. In year 1, he flashed, absolutely. He flashed. And if he improves his route running and separation ability, this dude is going to be a beast. But let's look at the schedule real quick. You're talking about playing the AFC North, 6 games there, 2 with Cleveland, 2 with Baltimore, 2 with Cincinnati. No reason we can't go 4-2, 3-3 at worst. Then you look at the AFC South. We play Houston, that's winnable. Tennessee, that's winnable. Jaguars, that'll be tough, but it's winnable, but I don't like that game, to be honest with you. And then the Colts, rookie quarterback, winnable. NFC West, San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams, trap game I know. Seattle on the road will be tough, but Arizona is not coming into Pittsburgh and coming out with a win in December. No way. Then you look at a couple other games. Green Bay, coming to Pittsburgh. Jordan Love's a question mark. That's a winnable game. New England Patriots have had our number, but that's a winnable game. It's Thursday Night Football in Pittsburgh. Just like the Tennessee game, Thursday Night Football in Pittsburgh. We've seen that show. I saw that show in person in 2017, which is irrelevant. But still. You're talking about 6 games, 6 division games. That's 6. 4 for the NFC West. That's 10. 4 for the AFC South. That's 14. Plus 2 games with Green Bay and the Patriots. You look over that schedule and you tell me you can't see 10 wins? Are you crazy? With TJ Watt, a top 5 defense. This will be a top 5 defense. I don't doubt that. I don't. TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Keanu Benton, whatever he brings, Alex Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick, Patrick Peterson, a young Joey Porter Jr., whatever he brings. Broderick Jones will be a starter at some point. The makings are all there. But it's going to depend on health, and it's going to depend on Kenny Pickett and what this offensive line is going to bring. Because first things first, we're looking to bring this back to Pittsburgh Steelers football, which consists of smash mouth ball, running the football, running it down your throat, and there's nothing you can do about it because we're coming and there's nothing you can do. Then we're going to look to use play action off of that. We don't need Pickett throwing 40 passes a game. Now, if he can do that and we can still win, that's fantastic, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for Pickett to manage the game, convert some third downs, which we were able to do down the second half of the stretch, as good as anyone almost, with a 50% plus conversion rate. I'm just looking for him to play clean ball, I'm cool with 2 picks, I'm cool with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I'm cool with maybe 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I'm cool with 250 plus yards. And if we can get 100 yards running on the ground, and don't forget, Pickett can scramble as well. He's not going to look to scramble, but when he needs to, maneuver the pocket and run, I think he can efficiently do that. So if we get Kenny Pickett, man, to make just a solid year 2 leap, let's have a positive touchdown interception ratio, not 7-9. We can just cut down on those turnovers a little bit and get maybe 30-ish. Maybe close to 30 touchdowns passing. We will be in tip-top solid shape. And like I said, we're looking to get back to basics. Let's run the football with the Naj. Let's use Jalen Warren in relief. Don't forget about CA3, a.k.a. Calvin Austin III. And play solid defense. If teams ain't scoring 20, we can win every freaking game. I believe this offense can score 20 plus every game. Now, will they? Time will tell. But for me, this team is easily going to go 10-7 or 11-6. I like 10-7 or 11-6 with great potential of winning this AFC North division. And we can't go one and done. My expectation is definitely to win this division or get into the playoffs as a wild card. Win a game, and let's see what happens from there. but we need to get a playoff win this year. That is what I would consider success for a young team. And then next year we can talk about Super Bowls. But we're not there yet. This is a very young squad, still on the up and coming. But let's take steps first. Let's get 10 plus wins. Let's go to the playoffs. And let's get into the dance and see what happens. And it all begins this Sunday. Huge game 1. Let's let the world know that this isn't just a flash. This is legit. This team is legit. And it's going to be legit. And I cannot wait to prove everyone wrong. Because I've been saying all year, all offseason, this team's going to the playoffs. This team will beat the Niners week 1, and I cannot wait to see it transpire this Sunday. Steeler Nation, are you all ready for this? Because I know I am. Here we go. Week 1 this Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a dogfight. Absolutely, it's going to be a dogfight. But this team will defeat the San Francisco 49ers, and I confidently say that. So that'll do it for episode 5 of this podcast. A bit shorter one, but I feel like we got everything we wanted, and this was a solid one. And don't forget to give the podcast a thumbs up. I'm everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or if you call it Twitter, X, whatever. TikTok, YouTube. Blitzburgh Coverage is everywhere. We are on the up and coming. Check out the Man on Roadway Sports podcast with me and Hunter. And I've also been doing podcasts. I've been a guest on my brother's podcast, Struggle Up Podcast. Check us out. We go more into the betting aspect of sports, especially now that's football season. But that'll do it for me. I am your host, K-Mac, a.k.a. Kurt Mackey. And that'll do it. Everyone have a great Thursday. Enjoy the game tonight. Go Lions. And have a great weekend. And let's go get this dub, man. Your boy's out, though. Peace.